Them belly full, but we hungry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jason Maya Thing, the show that's just like Jesus. Here every Sunday, whether you like it or not. Get started as I always do. The death toll this week is at the beginning of this recording. Actually, is 30,960. That is 640 in a week and 82 in the last 24 hours. I've got my visual representation again. It says the 640 and the 82 here, but I gotta use a marker next time, I think, instead of my pen. This week's show is gonna look a little bit different, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. And before I get going real quick, I just want to say to Celine Robinson, I'd like to say that while I do not doubt that there is anti-Semitism within the NDP, the BC NDP, because there's unfortunately anti-Semitism everywhere, I just find it interesting that you decided to resign from the NDP and only after you were forced to resign from the cabinet for making an incredibly racist remark about Palestinian people. And it seems pretty convenient that anti-Semitism is the reason that you're leaving after you've been called out for being a blatant racist.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Now, I know I spoke about aid at length last week, but I have to address this maritime corridor that is being constructed by the United States military. Everything I said last week is still true. There used to be 500 trucks that were getting into Gaza a day. Now it's like 50. That's by design. The Israeli military said on October 8th that they would lay siege to the Gaza Strip, and that is what they have done. Every Western government on this planet likes to say how imperative it is that we get aid into the Gaza Strip. It is a humanitarian crisis that needs fixing at this moment, and we need to get aid in right away. But all of these governments, Canada, the UK, the US, several European countries, refuse to stop arming and funding the Israeli war machine that is preventing the aid from getting in. They have started using airdrops and stuff like that. But again, like I said last week, that's more to appease their guilty conscience than it is to actually help any Palestinians whatsoever. So now we've got Genocide Joe, who comes out and introduces this maritime corridor, which he could have introduced months ago, but chose to do it when? During his State of the Union address. Why would Joe pick a State of the Union address, a speech that has very little foreign policy in it and is more directed at a domestic audience? It's because he's trying to placate his Democratic base that is deserting him en masse because of his support for the Israeli genocide. That is why he and the White House have begun the construction of this maritime corridor. It has nothing to do with trying to help Palestinians. If Killer Kamala and Genocide Joe actually cared about helping Palestinians, they would stop arming and funding Israel. If they actually cared about Palestinians, they would stop giving the green light for the absolute destruction of the Gaza Strip. But they don't. They don't care about anything but winning their domestic election. And that's it.
You wanna see a dead body?
I've wanted to talk about the West Bank for a few weeks now, but the West Bank there's a lot to unpack there. But I feel like the West Bank is being ignored because of what's happening in Gaza. And I just feel like it bothers me, and I'm just going to try and get out as much information as I can in the next little bit just to try and help. The West Bank is Palestinian territory that is separate from Gaza. It has been occupied by the Israeli military since 1967. The Israeli military says that they do that because of security reasons, but since 1967, the Israeli military has used its occupation to systematically steal the land away from Palestinian people. And they give it to individuals that they call settlers. The land that gets converted into settlements, these people are called settlers. The settlers don't move into the settlements for cheap housing and cheap rent. They are Israeli ultranationalists, also known as Zionists, who believe that it is their biblical right to occupy that land and they routinely brutally attack Palestinians in their homes, in their villages, in their cities, on their farms, to attempt to intimidate these individuals so they leave the West Bank and more settlers can move in. Now, in the West Bank, because there are settlers and there are Palestinians, there is two different kinds of law. There's military law for Palestinians and civil law for the settlers. Civil law is just like law here, where they have regular police. You can sue somebody, you can get charged with a crime. Same as regular law. The military law that the Palestinians live under is exactly what it sounds like. You are arrested by the military. You are kept in military prisons. You are detained sometimes without charge because you are a military combatant, as they say that some of them are. And so within the West Bank, it's not just in the West Bank, it's all over Israel, but the two separate systems of law is the definition of an apartheid state. It makes Israel an apartheid state. It doesn't matter what the Israeli government has to say about that. The fact is that they are. The military does nightly raids within the West Bank, all over the West Bank, and they are violent and they are brutal. And they arrest people, they destroy homes, they destroy buildings, and they destroy roads, simply to intimidate the Palestinian people of the West Bank to get them to leave, and so more settlers can move in, or ethnic cleansing. Now, I want to mention that the settlers, also the military occupation and the police raids are all illegal under international law, and all predate October 7th. By decades. Now, I bring that up because Western leaders, the US, the UK, Canada, have all loved to say that Israel has a right to defend itself, some unlimited right to defend itself after October 7th. Now, I want to say that I don't believe that it was cool that they targeted civilians on October 7th. I don't think that targeting civilians ever is good. I think that resistance movements. You can target cops, you can target military personnel, you can target members of the government, but people at a music festival, I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's the best course of action. It's against international law. But surely after 75 years of the brutal occupation and the brutal violence from the settlers that I've documented, surely that affords the Palestinians some type of recourse. Some type of self-defense, as the Israelis are given, are unlimited by nations all over the world. And that just doesn't happen. For some reason, Palestinians, to the international community, are completely disposable. They talk a lot about how they want to stand up for them and help them, but they never, ever, ever do. And I wonder, why is there a system built, a Western system built, to deny these people's existence? And the only explanation I can come up with is that the Americans felt so fucking bad for taking communism as more of a threat than fascism in World War II and ignoring the Holocaust, that they will forever try and make up for that past transgression. It's the only thing that I can come up with, because why does one group of people get an unlimited right to defend itself and another group of people gets completely fucking destroyed and nobody does a fucking thing about it?